Okay, now we're going to create a form here in Access using our JSP Recruiters database. A form is much like a report. It shows you data from your database, but in a form you are allowed to change and modify the data, and it'll allow you to go one record at a time through the database, through one of the tables or a combination of tables, and make edits to those records. So we're going to use the form wizard to create a form here, very similar to using the report wizard to create a report. First thing I wanted to do is make sure you have client table selected here. We're going to go over to the create table or create tab again, and the form wizard here is in the more forms section. So click on that and go to form wizard. Looks very similar to the report wizard here, where we're going to select our fields. We're going to add the client number, the client name, the client type, the specialties needed, the amount paid, the current due, and the recruiter number. Okay, after that, go ahead and hit next. We're going to leave it as is, the columnar layout, and keep it at the module style. Now there's no grouping or sorting in a form in this sense during the wizard because we're not displaying all the data. We're bringing it up one record at a time here. We're going to call this client financial form, okay? And go ahead and hit finish, and it'll bring up our form. There it is. You can see the data here. You can see down here the records, right? You're on record 1 of 9 right now, and you can scroll through the different records. Here's where I could go in and change. I could say family health people, and that would actually update the database, okay? So we'll see a little bit more of this as we move on. So that's our form. It's really simple to create. Next thing we're going to want to do with this form is we're going to go ahead and close it. And then maybe you guessed, we're going to right click on it and open it in layout view. And we're going to want to add grid lines to this, okay? So what we want to do is make sure we have any one of the fields here selected, alright? And then go to the format tab if you're not already there. We're going to click on grid lines right here. These are the different options we can have. We're going to select both, and that's going to add both vertical and horizontal grid lines to it. You do that, click out of there, and you can see now there's grid lines around your form. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a date to the form, okay? To do that, what we want to do is click up here in the form header, click away from the actual text though in that header, and then you'll select that control. That's your header control. And then what we want to do is click on the date time here. What we're going to do is we're going to include the date. We're going to use the second format here, the predefined format they have for us. And we're going to uncheck time. We don't need the time of this form, but just the date. Go ahead and hit OK, and it adds the date there. You're probably wondering, where did it add the date to? I don't see it. That's because it added it with black text into that dark blue border. Or dark blue background. You can see it here. It just kind of blends in a little more. So the next thing we're going to want to do, we're going to go ahead and change that font color of that date control. So if we click on the date, it'll select it, and then we can just simply go over here to the text font color and change that to white. And there we go. We have our date there in white. The last thing we're going to do with this is we're going to go ahead and move it. And we're going to just move it down. To do that, we click on it again. You see the 4 arrows pointing in each direction. If we click and hold, we can just drag this date right on down. And there we go. We've moved the date. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move around a control here on our form too. So we're going to hit the client type. We're going to hit that. We're going to hold shift. We're going to hit the specialties needed, and that will select them together. Holding shift allows you to select more than one control at the same time. Now we're going to click with the arrows pointing in each direction, and we're going to drag those down to the bottom. That's how we move a control. Pretty simple stuff. In the next lesson, we're going to add a field, and then we're going to do some filtering and some sorting with our report. With our form, excuse me.